So I was having a conversation with a coworker of mine the other day. Very nice looking lady, slim, very beautiful, lovely, catching to the eye. And she made a comment. She made a comment that men are winning. And I found it very interesting. I mean, I didn't share that view. I understood why she said it. But I don't think it's a case of men winning. But I'll give my personal opinion on that later on. But what it developed into is a conversation on relationships. And I find that, as usual, I have found that many people are not satisfied with the relationships they have, or they think that the dating market sucks. They're not getting the results they want. They're not having those effective relationships that they have been chasing all these years. They have been told by these experts and these dating coaches and psychologists, hey, work on yourself. Put in the work, focus on your communication, your self-love, your autonomy, focus on your body. Men are being told, hey, go to the gym and bulk up. And all of these things are good advice. But as usual, we're here today to look at those hidden pitfalls, those gaps in the system, those blind spots. As usual, your boy Nivoja is here to expose some of those factors that quite frankly have not been taught to you in the culture. So welcome to episode 8, guys, of the Sturdy Pot channel. Your host Nivoja here, adding value every day. As usual, I'm here to tell you those things that people have either forgotten. They don't tell you, your mother and father never teach you. The culture did not do you a service by exposing these tools, these techniques, these different thought processes that goes into ensuring that you have effective relationship, solid mindsets, and of course, mad money management. That's what we're about here. So today's video, we'll be looking more in the realm of relationships. There'll be a little bit of mindset in it. And of course, this video will be more tailored to the relationship issues being faced by women. But of course, gentlemen, please listen in as well. There's a lot of nuggets in here. We're just going to go through a few of them, maybe about 3 of these blind spots. And of course, guys, keep it going. If there's any of course, if I'm adding any value to you guys, show the love by like, subscribe, and sharing. Our subscribers are going up, and I like that. Not as fast as I would, but guys, I love the comments you're getting. I love the feedback. Today I'm not looking so yummy as usual. One of the feedback I got from the last video, and I trim up on everything. They say, hey, you look yummy. I'm like, yeah, it's one of those days, but I can't promise that for every video going forward. So today I one of them rugged looks there. Today we just gear the reality as it comes along. So stay tuned, listen well, and I hope I add value as we go along. So in going through these blind spots that we're talking about, these gaps, essentially, they are just things that have not been taught by these dating coaches, these relationship experts. These are common things that I'm not hearing out there. Now, those advice that they give you, they are very valuable. I will not doubt them. I'm not here to dispute any myth or anything. They are good advice, but I think they're missing some of these very important traits. And I said we're going to tackle about 3 of them today that these experts just fail to inform you. All right. So before I go into the 3 of them, I will look at this as like a ground zero here. So one of the issues I think that is happening in these modern day relationships now that most people are not serving and all of those things is that they are not understanding that in modern day relationships, you are basically outfitted with old tools, old systems, old expectation, old knowledge. In order to get a lot of things done, just like relationships, anything, mindset, money, you have to learn updated skills. You basically have to update your software, update your mindset, update your thinking, update your knowledge. And relationships are no different from any other. You need relationship skills. So that's the first thing that I think most experts in the field are not teaching us nowadays. Relationship building is a skill. And you develop relationships. They don't just happen out of thin air. They require skill sets. So the first thing, as I said, but before I continue, let me give this, caveat. I am not a relationship expert. I am not a psychologist. I'm not licensed to do all of this stuff. I'm just a random guy on YouTube with some results that I hear people that they like it. They like the type of relationships I've had. I've had great relationships over the years. And that's my aura here, or that's my vibe here, why I'm taking this information to you. These are things, of course, I have seen, observed, or even put in place myself to ensure that the quality of the relationships I have are very good. And I've had no issues since many years now. I've been practicing new tools and techniques. So again, folks, remember, one of the things you all never know are not going on, you're using old set of skills to manage new day relationships. And that's one of the first things we have to understand. So with that said, of course, we're going to need you to open your mind for these three things. You probably have heard them before or you haven't. Let's see, maybe some of you have. But I'm going to put it in context for you guys so you guys have a better understanding of what's going on here. All right? Today's episode, as I say, is more tailored to the ladies and why their dating life sucks. So most of them will be actions or inactions of the ladies, and of course the impact it have on men and how it's perceived where men are concerned. Here on this channel, we do recognize that men and women are different. I don't know who wants to dispute that. If you guys think I'm wrong by thinking men and women are different, shoot in the comments below. Let's tackle it. Let's have the conversation. Of course, panel discussions are welcome as well. Okay, so the first one is this. So what is happening that a lot of these dating coaches are forgetting to tell, women, and of course men in some cases, is that when you approach a relationship based on your requirements, your standards, and your needs, you're making it more about yourself rather than the experience with or of the other party. It's really as simple as that. So we are being told, hey, focus on your standards, build your standards, talk about what you want, and we're being told that, yes, this is strong, this is mature, this is the best way to do it. Lead with your intentions, talk about what you want. It's good advice, but it's missing something. And that's where we're here today to look at what's missing from that. So the first thing is, it makes the relationship very transactional. So as a woman, you're going to get up and say, you know what, I'm looking for a man who is intentional. I want somebody who is marriage-minded, ready for kids, ready for commitment, because I am ready for commitment. Of course, this is the language of the ladies. I don't want to waste any time. I don't want to do all of this. I want to be intentional. I want emotional investment and emotional growth and all of those things. So, ladies, of course, when that is said, the men basically interpret it as more imposing of a responsibility rather than a valuable experience. So this is what the dating coaches are not telling you. You're basically making it into a transaction. I'm going to give you the male side to it. Just picture this, ladies. A man comes up to you and lead with X. You know what I mean? Intercourse. They come up and say, baby, I would like to get into that box. You feel like a commodity. Ladies, you started interpret it like, hey, there's no depth to this. It's just leading with your own intentions. I feel like somebody that can be replaced. You feel like all of that. But let's turn it around back to you, ladies. So when you do that, of course, you understand how that feels. That's exactly how it starts in the man's mind. But it goes further for men. Men interpret when women start or approach by stating standards, requirements, and need as an interview. You're being interviewed to fill a position that you can be easily replaced. Notice I didn't say the men feel, they interpret that. They interpret it as being screened for a role where you can be replaced easily. The role is more about the other person rather than him. There's nothing in the experience for him. Just picture this, ladies. Yes, you're asking for a wedding and marriage and all those things, and he interprets it as, oh, you really just want somebody to show up and just be a part of this process. It's not aligned with a shared experience. That's what it's interpreted as when men hear these things, or it's led with that. So the relationship coaches, the dating experts not telling you, hey, you know, when you lead with this is one of the interpretation that men see. They're seeing an imposed responsibility. They have to be wondering, what's in it? What's in this for me? So I would say that it's not a bad advice, but I don't think it's the best strategy. And of course, strategy is a big thing in this. What it is if you have an approach without a strategy, it's basically a fancy way of setting up yourself for failure. Oh, I did the work, I put in the thing, I put in the work, but when you fail, you're like, oh, you know, it's not my fault, it's the system. It's really a lack of strategy. And of course, with every skill, just like relationship skills, you have to apply a strategy to it. It's not about manipulation and all of those things. So here we are, the ladies are now pushing for this thing. They're leading with intention and all of those things. Very good advice, but they're lacking the understanding of how it's interpreted by men. So what I would say, one of the alternatives may be to lead, or should I say, start talking about factors that inspires genuine connection. AKA, make it about both of you. Make it about both of you. It cannot be one-sided. That's why you're hearing this story nowadays of men talking about, what do you bring to the table? And women completely miss the content of the conversation. Listen here. Women talk about context, or should I say focus on context. Men focus on content. So when men say, hey, what do you bring to the table? There's nothing contextual about it. It's just really saying, yo, why not this for me? What is in this for me? That's really all it's saying. I'm just being a little expressive here, folks. And that's the point. When you lead with your desires, your goals, your dreams, you're making it mainly about you, ladies. And that's where it is. You're being taught it's mature, it's powerful, it's strength. When you talk about, hey, this is what I need, and you put it all on the table. And all he's interpreting is, yo, you just need a space filler. You just need to fill that gap over there. So that's the first blind spot, ladies. Approaching relationships, putting your standards, your requirements up front. I need a man to do this. I need him to be strong, powerful, 6 this, 6 that, whatever. You know, all of those requirements. I'm not going to get into them. Again, I think the energy is just misplaced. I think it should probably come further at the back end. But who am I? I'm just showing my opinion here. But it's a blind spot for you, ladies. Lead with values, lead with worth that inspires genuine connection to that man. That is where one of the blind spots is for effective relationship. That's one of the aspects that is very, seldomly practiced. So what does that look like? Let's get into it. It basically engulfs a mindset of being influential. So one of the things that they're not telling you is relationships are actually a negotiation. I'm not trying to be business-like with it, but it's just raw. It's just really that. I'm not going to get into the auspices of what negotiations are, but influence is the main thing. As I said on my first episode, we were entitled The Commerce of Relationships. It's all about a value exchange. That's why when they say what you bring to the table, they're just asking the value. What value am I getting from this? So lead with the sense of what value you're adding, ladies. That's one of the things that can help to, make that relationship more fulfilling. Or put it this way, the dating life, make it more, we get you the results you want. Lead with what worth you are. It's not about stating the worth, It's about showing that value. It makes the man feel discovered than just being interviewed. So one of the things is just try and get into that motion where you're thinking of what value you can add. It's a mindset change, with these blind spots. As I said, it's things that you just never heard before or probably just not paid attention to. And that's it. You speak about adding value. Look at the worth you're bringing to the relationship. So those are some of the few items that will get you out of this blind spot. Another issue or another thing that happens when you approach with your needs and your requirements alone, ladies, is that, it's not only ladies, but men as well. Apart from it being impersonal to the person you're trying to deal with or nothing to do with them and more to do with you, it basically causes you to develop a script for the relationship. There is no discovery in that. So what I mean is that the man, if he feels discovered rather than interviewed, it makes a whole world of difference how that man turns up and respond to you. So what it does, let me give you an example. You say, hey, you know, I need a man who is 6 foot tall, or I need a man who is emotionally intelligent. And so when you say that, you basically tell him that, hey, you have all of this thought out already. And I'm just, as I said, filling a spot. Where are you going with this? Why aren't you discovering what I am about and seeing how you can be a part of that, or how we can build something together? So when you're doing that, you're scripting it. You're making it very transactional and, you know, constrained, so to speak. There's no room for discovery. And I'm not saying men aren't guilty of this too. Yes, they are. So men, as I said, listen here and learn as well. This is twofold. You can learn, you know, what really can contribute to an effective relationship, and also what to look for in a woman as well. That will, you know, give you high quality results in your relationships. So that's one of the main factors there. The reality, let me give you an example from the male standpoint. When a man is leading with sex, always remember this, ladies, and this is where you get that little feeling, that little, you know, shiver running up your spine when they lead with sex. What it really is, the reality is that a man's sexual desire is there before you. It's there while you're there. It doesn't depend on you. His sexual desire is just always there. Just like how your requirements are always there in spite of any man or despite any man you meet. That is the issue when you lead with something that's already scripted, that's already thought out. So yes, you sit down and you come up with your 400 requirements of having a man, or your 10 or your 12, whatever number you have. It makes it scripted, it makes it already defined. So there's no room for discovery. And when you lead with something like that, it doesn't, as I said, give any room for inspiration. And as I said, it becomes an interview. Do you meet this requirement to meet that space? So I'm going to conclude with that one for item 1, or the first blind spot that is there. I know I went long on that one. I think that's an important one. The other two will be much shorter. The next one is lack of understanding of the market. So this is the second blind spot that hits a lot of women, especially the older women. I'm saying maybe women over 28 or over 30. Let's put it in 30s. And it's really a simple thing as this. Ladies, when you're in your 20s, you are spoiled for choice. You are the selector in the market. And when I say the market, I'm talking about the dating and relationship market. You are the cat's meow. You basically can be, hey, you know, you're spoiled for choice. Men are approaching, men are proposing, all of those things. What they didn't teach you, ladies, is over time, or it doesn't even have to be time. It can be anything. It can be any change in dynamics. It can be age. It can be your success metrics. It can be trauma. It can be anything. Once a lady, your guys' life start getting complicated, what it does, it takes away from that selectivity. And now it pushes you in the realm of a competitor. So now you're competing for men's attention. Not just general men, the men that you want. I know this one may, you know, make you shiver up the spine, but that's really what it is out there. This is a blind spot they didn't tell you. So for these older ladies, and I say ladies above 28, the dating coach is not going to tell you, hey, you know, say right now, you're basically in a competition zone. So your skills need to be up. Those skills we talked about earlier, your strategy needs to be up. It's not about manipulation. It's about getting that man to crave you. You didn't have to work on that when you were 20 because them automatically crave you. You understand? Your belly is flat, looking all beautiful naturally. You have the virtues of youth, which signifies reproductivity and this great sex that he wants. So you are already the product that he wants automatically. God and L'Oreal gave you that. Those of you who know L'Oreal, probably I can say Vicky Secrets or any of them, you know, those nice cosmetic industries gave you that. All you need to do is maintain it. But it comes a time when you switch from being the selector Two, the competitor. You have to be now competing. No, I'm not saying you're competing with other women, you know. You're competing with the needs and wants of that man. The needs to be inspired. The need for him to feel inspired. The need for him to feel chosen. We're going to look at the chosen part a little later. So know the dynamics of the market and what changes. I'm not saying women are old are not desirable. No, I'm just simply saying you're competing with your younger self. Not with another woman, not necessarily with a man, but you're competing with your younger self. And when you complicate your life with a job, with kids, with whatever, it's not that your desirability drops. It shifts you to a competing zone, because when you were younger without those things, men appreciated that convenience. They appreciated the simplicity. And as such, you now have to be competing at a level that, of course, never existed before. So that's the second point. That's the second blind spot. Of course, not understanding the market. You may sit down here and say, hey, I can't be blamed for this. I never know. Society never tell us. Yes, society and those nice dating coaches were spending a lot of money and didn't tell us, or didn't tell you guys. But it is still your responsibility to grow and develop those skills that they're not telling you about. They're just telling you nice methods and so, but they're not telling you need to develop new knowledge and skills. It's your responsibility to get that knowledge and fix it up. So another element of misunderstanding market is, folks, we spoke about relationship skills earlier. And of course, when the dynamics of the dating market has changed, you have to use a new strategy. When you were younger, ladies, of course, you can focus on screening. You can just screen because you're spoiled for choice. But now in this new day and age, you find that, hey, there are a lot of maybe younger, beautiful women out there. And as such, the strategy has to change. So do you continue to screen, or do you inspire or attract? Do you focus on the whole genuine connection thing rather than an interview process? That's where it comes in. Just as all with physicality, you can't be wearing one of those long, or should I say, nightgowns that go down to the ankle to attract the man, or, get him hot in bed. You have to go to Victoria's Secrets and buy some of those nice lingeries. So again, the dating coaches and experts not telling you this new information. You cannot be using the same old strategy of the 20th century to look at 21st century relationship dynamics. Especially when age is a factor, life being more complicated, for everybody. So that's why leading with inspiration, shared experiences, those stuff, leading with value and worth. What are you bringing to that relationship? How are you making that man feel? How are you including him in the process of the, negotiation or the attraction? Now, the final thought on misunderstanding the market will be the most controversial one. And listen well now, ladies. The market does not consider your feelings. Remember now, you want to be selected by a man. Your feelings are not what's gonna attract him. So we talk about focusing on emotional intelligence and being in touch with feelings and all those things. And of course, it heightens the expectation of ladies that their feelings is what matter. The dating market does not, at least initially, does not consider your feelings. The dating and man's attraction responds to the value you bring. I know this sounds a bit similar to what was said before, but bear with me, there's a difference here. It doesn't consider your feelings, it reacts to the value that you bring. So I'm just going to put a little thing to you ladies to see how you will look at it. So do you bring power to the man, or do you bring pressure? So as the previous point says, you say, hey, I want a man who is marriage minded. When you start with that, it's basically putting on a bit of pressure, and he interprets it as pressure. But if you look at it and say, you know what? I think I may see in you the potential as the man that I'll be willing to change my life for. That puts him in a mode to say, wow, He puts in a mode of power and he like, yo, I mean, if you marry that girl, or he started to think about commitment and trying to plan his life around you. There's a difference in the approach there. Do you bring calm or do you bring complexity? So one of those dynamics now is when you think about things like the complexity of your life as a woman. So you went to university and you studied to become this big lawyer or this big business administrator, yet still you have maybe a bunch of student loan debt and you can barely manage your rent. Are you imposing that on him versus somebody who is simpler? I'm not saying because you have student loan debt, you're not attractive. No, it's not that. But understand what it does. So what are you putting on? Are you putting on pressure? Or are you putting him in the realm of power? Are you bringing inspiration or are you bringing indignation? Indignation is one of those typical things that most women have. But men don't respond to that because it's feelings based. We respond to the value added. And if you add that value of inspiration to his life, the shared experience thing that we mentioned earlier, bam, there you go. It shifts his brain in saying, you know what, yes, I'm a bachelor, but why? If I have the power to change this girl's life, maybe I can really see the value of how she can be an excellent mother to my child. That's different from telling him, yo, I want a good father for my child. It's like, oh, that's responsibility rather than respect and inspiration. Yeah, the final factor on misunderstanding the market is surrounding some of the things that you think actually add value, but it really isn't. Again, the dating coaches are not telling you this. So when you talk to a lot of women, they're like, oh, I have my own house and, I've accomplished this. I have that. I've worked on myself. I'm a clean person. I'm hygienic. I breathe. Men interpret these as minimum standard. They are not value-added propositions. They are not value-added factors. And ladies, as I said, I'm the guy who will bite the bullet and tell you these things. While men will appreciate them and they are good socio-economic indicators for convenience, they are not really attractive, or should I say, they are not factors that increases attraction and desire, which is what you need for that authentic connection, that romance that you need. Same as always spoke on the interview. The interviews, the interrogation, leading with that thing about your requirements, it actually kills the romance potential of the man. All right, so that's the final thing on that factor of misinterpreting the market. Our final blind spot in the whole dating and relationship aspect that they don't tell you, ladies, is the final one here. So I won't get to it just yet, but I'll lead up to it with a little preamble. Many ladies are always caught between the whole want or need thing. I want a man, I don't need a man. It sounds like a very noble rhetoric nowadays. Yes, I don't want to push my needs at him. I don't want to feel like I'm dependent on him and it makes it easier for him and so forth. But should the focus be on want versus need? Or should the focus be on need versus choice? So ladies, you always want that commitment from the man. Oh, men aren't committing nowadays. Men aren't fearful of commitment, I mean, we use, as a joking rhetoric here, we use the same barber and support the same losing football team for the past 20 years. We're committed to the football team. We're committed to a barber. We're committed to a brethren. So it's not commitment that is the issue. It's what he's committing to. Is he committing to power or pressure? Is he committing to interrogation or inspiration? Is he filling a spot or is he committing to a life of togetherness or building something? So that's where it comes in there. So men generally commit to a situation where they feel chosen. Not needed, not wanted, but chosen. Again, your dating coach is not telling you this. There's a difference between, oh, I need a husband, rather than saying, instead of telling a man, hey, I need a husband, I hope you're married minded. No, that's a need. How the choosing signal goes now is this. In talking to you, I think you have the potential to change my life. I think you have the potential to let me reconsider, men on this dating market. Choosing signals. That's what it comes with. I mean, yes, there's sex and all of that, but choosing signals is the thing. So again, ladies, the approach a lot of the time matters. As I say, is it power or pressure? Of course, the need puts on pressure. The choice of, or should I say, choosing a man based on just the choice or the basis of just choosing him gives him power, gives him inspiration. And of course, us men knows the difference. We interpret that difference very clearly. It's not a feeling for us. It's actually our second nature. Is she dealing with us based on a need, or is she dealing with us, or dealing with me, I should say, based on based on her choosing to be with me? She sees something unique about me, like that. All right. So again, when you are approaching from the basis of your needs and wants and aspirations, you're basically telling him that he's a solution. It puts on pressure. When you approach based on choice now, it basically tells him that he's exceptional and he's being chosen for his virtues or whatever you find attractive about him. It's a whole different thing. And it basically puts him into a mode of power. When you lead with your misunderstanding of the market, when you don't lead with the whole genuine connection, and you lead with your standards and your requirement, it feels like he interprets it as a trap. And when you lead with the other side of things, those blind spots that we discussed earlier, it puts him in the frame of power. It puts him in a frame of wanting to commit. It makes him hungry for what you have to offer. So folks, that's the 3 blind spots when it comes on to dating and relationships. Of course, as I said, the professionals, the dating coaches, the experts, a lot of them are failing to highlight those blind spots. And of course, in taking advantage of this knowledge, you'll be able to better approach. You'll have a better approach towards dating and relationships. Ladies, one of the things we have to realize is that relationships are about a shared experience, especially for men. It's not about a one-sided achievement for the person and one person just filling a gap. It's all about a shared experience to achieve the results or achieve the desire of both parties. And it's achieved through increasing desire. Now, for men, of course, as I said, the men who will chase the commitment, or the women that they will chase for commitment, are the women who have chosen them out of just choosing. Meaning that they present those qualities, they present those worth. It's not out of a need that she's choosing him, but just out of choice. Ask yourself this, ladies, step out of your framework and say, hey, would I date me if I led with this stuff? I've shown you from the man's side, if he leads with sex, you feel like a commodity, you feel replaceable. There's nothing unique about the experience. Men want that uniqueness as well. So in looking at these blind spots and putting them into practice, you can make a difference in the way the man experiences you. Is he being discovered, or is just experience an interrogation or interview? Is he experiencing you as fun or work and responsibility? Is he experiencing you as a powerful, experience, or a pressuring experience filled with requirements? Does he interpret being with you as him winning, or is he experiencing whining? Are you turning interest into investment where he's concerned? So yes, he's interested in you, but he's willing to invest in you. The approach makes a difference. And that's why I give you those 3 blind spots today. Put them in practice today, see if it benefits you. And of course, if what I taught you today is making you question the whole ideology that you have about relationships, lean into it. Maybe it's what you need to hear to have a different approach to get that wonderful relationship and that commitment from that man that you desire. Remember, it's about the experience, not a one-sidedness approach to getting one's desired or needs met. So folks, see you on episode 8, where we discuss the relationship contract that everybody talks about. We'll get into it in that episode. Like, share, and subscribe. Until then, stay safe, folks. Take it easy. See you.